Scrub harder. If I don't finish this before Madame wakes up, there will be trouble.
You are a liar and a thief. You did not give me water. You did not show me kindness. You mocked me.
To the broken things.
To the mended things.
African Karma Stories.
In the bustling city of Aethelgard, a mistreated housemaid risks everything to attend a royal festival, unaware that the beggar she helps is actually the prince in disguise, searching for a wife who values kindness over money. The city of Aethelgard did not wake up quietly. It woke up with a roar. Even before the sun had fully climbed over the rusty zinc roofs of the outskirts, the sounds of the day had begun. The local buses honked their loud, angry horns. The street sweepers scratched their brooms against the asphalt. The voice of the man selling hot bread echoed off the compound walls. Inside the large white two-story house on Marigold Avenue, Elara was already awake. She had been awake since 4 a.m. Elara was 18 years old, but she looked younger because she was thin. Her skin was the color of dark cocoa, but her eyes were tired. She sat on a small plastic stool in the backyard, scrubbing a pile of dirty jeans. The water in her bucket was soapy and gray. Her hands were wrinkled from the water, and her back ached. "Scrub harder," she whispered to herself. "If I don't finish this before Madame wakes up, there will be trouble." Elara was not a slave, but she was treated like one. Her parents had died in a car accident when she was very small. Lady Beatrice, a distant cousin of her father, had taken her in. But Lady Beatrice did not treat Elara like a daughter. She treated her like a machine. Upstairs, the air conditioner hummed in the master bedroom. Lady Beatrice was sleeping on a soft king-sized bed. In the next room, her daughter Cassia was snoring lightly, surrounded by soft pillows and teddy bears. Elara finished the laundry and hung the heavy wet clothes on the line. The sun was getting hotter now. She wiped sweat from her forehead. Next, she had to sweep the entire compound. The compound was huge, paved with interlocking stones that trapped the dust. Swish, swish, swish. Her broom moved in a steady rhythm. Just as she was finishing, the kitchen door banged open. Cassia walked out. Cassia was 20 years old. She wore a pink silk robe and fluffy slippers. She held a cup of tea in one hand and her expensive phone in the other. "Good morning, Sister Cassia," Elara said, bowing her head slightly as a sign of respect. Cassia did not look at her. She took a sip of tea and made a face. "This tea is cold." "Elara, did you boil the water properly?" "Yes, Sister Cassia." "I boiled it 10 minutes ago," Elara said gently. 10 minutes ago? So, you expect me to drink old water?" Cassia poured the tea onto the clean stone Elara had just swept. The brown liquid splashed onto Elara's bare feet. "Go and make another one, and this time bring it to my room on a tray. Do not spill it." Elara looked at the tea stain on the clean ground. She felt a lump in her throat, but she swallowed it down. "Yes, Sister Cassia." She went into the kitchen. The kitchen was modern with a big gas cooker and a microwave, but Elara was not allowed to use the microwave. Lady Beatrice said electricity was too expensive to waste on a maid. Elara lit the gas stove with a match. While the water boiled, Elara quickly cleaned the counters. Underneath the fruit basket, she saw something sticking out. It looked like a piece of old paper. Elara pulled it out. It was a photograph. The picture was black and white, old and crinkled at the corners. It showed two babies sitting on a velvet rug. They were boys. They looked chubby and happy, but the strange thing was that they looked exactly the same. They were identical twins. Elara frowned. She knew Lady Beatrice only had one child, Cassia. She had never seen these baby boys before. She turned the photo over. On the back, someone had written a date. The 12th of June, 1995. "Who are you?" Elara whispered to the babies in the picture. "Elara." Lady Beatrice's voice boomed from the living room. "Where is my breakfast?" Elara gasped. She quickly shoved the photo into the deep pocket of her faded skirt. "Coming, Ma." She poured the hot water for Cassia, placed the breakfast for Lady Beatrice on a silver tray, and rushed into the living room. Lady Beatrice was sitting on the sofa, watching the morning news on a massive flat-screen television. She was a large woman who took up a lot of space. Her wig was perfectly styled. Even this early in the morning. "You are slow today," Beatrice said without turning her head. "Did you sleep too much?" "No. I was doing the laundry," Elara said, setting the tray down. "Excuses," Beatrice hissed. "Today is a busy day. We are going to the fabric market. You will carry the bales. If you drop anything, you will pay for it with your food." "Yes, Ma." Elara retreated to the kitchen. She felt the edge of the photo in her pocket. It felt heavy, like a stone. Why did Lady Beatrice have a picture of twin boys? And why was it hidden under a fruit basket? Elara didn't know, but her heart told her that this secret was dangerous. 10 miles away on the lavish sapphire coast, the morning was very different. Prince Kael sat at the head of a long mahogany table. The room was silent except for the ticking of a grandfather clock. Kael was a tall man with broad shoulders and kind eyes. He was dressed in a sharp navy blue suit. He was the CEO of a conglomerate group of companies, but he was also the traditional prince of the Valerius kingdom. His father, late king, had built a massive empire of agriculture and real estate. Now Kael carried the weight of that empire on his shoulders. Across the table sat the board of chiefs. These were 4 elderly men dressed in traditional robes and coral beads. They were not just business partners. They were the custodians of the kingdom's traditions. Chief Thorn, the oldest of them, cleared his throat. He had white hair and carried a carved wooden staff. "Prince Kael," Chief Thorn said, his voice raspy. "The financial reports are good. The company is making billions, but money is not everything." Kael sighed. He put down his pen. "Chief Thorn, please. Not this morning. We must speak of it." Chief Thorn insisted. "You are 30 years old. The throne of Valerius has been empty since your father joined the ancestors. You are serving as regent, but you cannot be crowned king until you have a queen. It is the law of the land." "I know the law," Kael said, standing up. He walked to the window and looked out at the swimming pool and the manicured gardens. He felt trapped in his own wealth. "We have introduced you to the daughter of the High Minister," another chief said. "She is beautiful. She studied abroad." "She does not love me," Kael said, turning around. "She loves my credit card. On our date, she spent 2 hours talking about buying a new car. She did not ask me one question about myself. She did not ask about my dreams or my fears. Love comes later." Chief Thorn argued, "Marriage is about alliances. It is about strength." "No," Kael said firmly. "My father loved my mother. I saw it. They were partners. I will not marry a stranger just to satisfy a law. I want a woman who has a golden heart. A woman who would love me even if I was a nobody." The chiefs looked at each other and shook their heads. They thought Kael was being foolish and romantic. "The Royal Heritage Festival is in 3 days," Chief Thorn said sternly. "All the eligible maidens from the surrounding regions will be there. We expect you to make a choice, Prince Kael. The people are getting impatient." Kael clenched his jaw. He knew they were right about one thing. He couldn't wait forever. But how could he find a real woman in a sea of fakes? That evening, Kael sat in his library. He looked at a portrait of his father. His father had been a wise man, but he had died with a sadness in his eyes. Kael felt lonely. He had money, cars, and servants, but he had no one to talk to. He pressed a button on his desk. A moment later, his personal assistant, a young man named Tobias, entered. "You called, Sir Tobias?" Kael said, "Bring me the old sedan from the back of the garage. The one the gardeners use." Tobias looked confused. "The old rusty one, sir. You have a fleet of luxury cars. Why do you want that scrap metal?" "Because," Kael smiled a sad smile. "I want to go into the town and I do not want to be Prince Kael. I just want to be a man." Tobias hesitated. "Sir, it is dangerous. The security team will be angry. Give them the night off." Kael ordered. "I need to breathe." Within an hour, Kael had changed. He took off his bespoke suit. He put on a pair of faded jeans and a t-shirt that had a small hole in the shoulder. He put on a worn-out baseball cap. He looked in the mirror. The prince was gone. Now he was just a regular guy. He climbed into the beat-up car. The engine coughed and sputtered before turning on. Kael laughed. For the first time in months, he felt free. He drove out of the golden gates of his mansion and headed towards the mainland. The sun was blazing hot in the Valerius village outskirts. This area was not like Sapphire Coast. The roads here were red earth full of potholes. Goats roamed freely and children played football with old plastic bottles. Under a large mango tree stood a small mechanic workshop. It was made of corrugated metal sheets. Inside, Leo was working on a minibus. Leo was sweaty and covered in black grease. He was strong with muscles built from years of lifting heavy engines. He had a kind face, quick to smile, but today he was frowning at a carburetor. "Master Leo, is it ready?" The bus driver shouted, pacing impatiently. "Almost, friend," Leo replied calmly. His voice was deep and smooth. The fuel pump was blocked. "I have cleared it." Leo tightened the last bolt and wiped his hands on a dirty rag. "Try it now." The driver turned the key. The engine roared to life, smooth and strong. "Ah, Leo, you are a wizard." The driver laughed. "You have magic hands." Leo smiled. "It is not magic. It is just patience. Machines are like people. You have to listen to them." The driver paid him and drove off in a cloud of dust. Leo sighed and sat on an old tire to rest. He took a sip of water. Leo did not know much about his past. He had been found by the riverside 28 years ago by an old hunter named Silas. Silas had raised him as his own son, teaching him how to fix cars and how to hunt in the forest. But Silas had died 2 years ago, taking the secret of Leo's origin to the grave. As Leo rested, a shadow fell over him. He looked up. Standing there was old Martha. She was a very old woman who sold roasted plantain and groundnuts at the junction. She wore many necklaces of beads and carried a wooden staff. Her eyes were cloudy, but they seemed to see everything. "Good afternoon, Mother," Leo said respectfully. "Do you want me to check your grinding machine?" Old Martha did not answer. She walked closer, leaning on her staff. She peered into Leo's face. She reached out a trembling hand and touched his cheek. "The sun and the moon," she whispered. "Two halves of the same coconut." Leo was confused. "Mother, are you feeling well? The heat is too much today." "I am not sick," old Martha said sharply. "I see what is hidden. The storm is coming, my son. The earth is shifting." She reached into the folds of her wrapper and pulled out a small, dirty pouch made of leather. She pressed it into Leo's greasy hand. "Take this," she said. "Do not open it until the rain falls on the day of the festival." "The festival?" Leo asked. "I am not going. That is for rich people and chiefs. I have work to do." "You will go," old Martha said. Her voice sounded like dry leaves crunching. "Your destiny is waiting there. You are not a mechanic, Leo. You are a lion sleeping in a goat's pen. Before Leo could ask what she meant, she turned and shuffled away, disappearing into the dust of the road. Leo looked at the leather pouch. He felt a strange tingle in his fingers. He put it in his pocket. He scratched his chest. Right in the center of his chest, he had a birthmark shaped like a small jagged star. It itched whenever something big was about to happen. And right now, it was itching like fire. The next morning, Aethelgard was buzzing with news. The announcement had been made on the radio, on the television, and by the town criers in the villages. The Royal Heritage Festival. This Saturday, Prince Kael Valerius will choose a wife. The news hit Lady Beatrice's house like a bomb. Cassia, Cassia, wake up. Lady Beatrice screamed, running up the stairs. Did you hear the radio? Cassia sat up, rubbing her eyes. What is it, Mommy? The prince. He is finally choosing a wife. This Saturday at the palace grounds. Beatrice was out of breath. She grabbed Cassia's shoulders. This is it. This is what we have been waiting for. You will be the queen. Cassia's eyes went wide. The queen. Me. She jumped out of bed and ran to the mirror. Yes, I am the most beautiful girl in the city. Who else can he choose? That skinny daughter of Chief Thorn. Ha! She has no style. We must prepare, Beatrice said, pacing the room. We need the best fabric, the best makeup artist. We need a dress that screams royalty, a dress of gold and red lace. But Mommy, Cassia whined, the best tailor in town is booked. Who will sew it in 2 days? Beatrice stopped pacing. A cruel smile spread across her face. We have a tailor right here. A tailor who costs us nothing. They both turned to look at the door. Elara was standing there holding a mop bucket. She had heard everything. You, Beatrice barked. Drop that bucket. Elara put the bucket down. Yes, Ma. You are good with a needle. Beatrice said, I have seen you fixing your own rags. Today I will buy the most expensive gold lace in the market. You will sew a dress for Cassia. It must be a masterpiece. But Ma, Elara whispered, I have chores, the cooking, the cleaning. Forget the cleaning, Beatrice shouted. This dress is your only job. You will sew day and night. You will not sleep until it is finished. If Cassia does not look like a goddess on Saturday, I will throw you out onto the street. Do you hear me? Yes, Ma. Elara said, her heart sinking. Lady Beatrice and Cassia rushed out to the market, leaving Elara alone in the big silent house. Elara walked to the window. She looked out at the blue sky. She wished she could go to the festival, too. Not to marry the prince. She knew a maid could never marry a prince, but just to see the dancing, to hear the drums, to eat the rice. She touched her pocket. The photo of the twin babies was still there. She pulled it out and looked at it. 2 boys, she murmured, separated just like I am separated from my happiness. Later that afternoon, Beatrice returned with yards of heavy shimmering gold lace. It sparkled with sequins. Start now, Beatrice commanded, throwing the fabric at Elara. Cassia wants a mermaid style with a long train. Elara sat on a hard wooden stool in the kitchen. She threaded her needle. Her fingers were sore from scrubbing floors, but she began to stitch. She sewed all afternoon. She sewed through the evening. Night fell and the generator hummed outside. Cassia came in occasionally to complain. Make it tighter at the waist, Cassia ordered, eating a chicken drumstick while Elara worked. I want him to see my shape. Yes, Sister Cassia. By 2 a.m., Elara's eyes were burning. The candlelight flickered. Her head nodded heavy with sleep. Suddenly, her hand slipped. Ouch! The needle pierced deep into her thumb. Elara gasped and pulled it out. A drop of bright red blood welled up. Before she could stop it, the blood dripped onto the gold fabric. Elara froze. Panic gripped her chest. A red stain on the gold dress. If Lady Beatrice saw this, she would kill her. Quickly, Elara grabbed a wet cloth and dabbed at the spot. The blood faded, but a tiny faint shadow remained. It was on the inside of the hem near the bottom. Please God, Elara prayed, her hands shaking. Let them not see it. Let it be hidden. She continued to sew, sucking her throbbing thumb, tears streaming silently down her face. She felt like the girl in the stories she used to read at school before her parents died. But there was no fairy helper here, only the buzzing mosquitoes and the cruel demands of a woman who wanted to steal a crown. The sun was beginning to set on the day before the festival. The sky over Aethelgard turned a dusty orange color. Prince Kael was driving the old battered car. He was far away from his mansion on Sapphire Coast. He was now on the rough, bumpy roads of the mainland outskirts. He enjoyed the feeling of the steering wheel shaking in his hands. For once, no one was bowing to him. No one was asking him for money. Suddenly, the car engine made a loud clunk noise. Smoke poured out from the front. The car jerked and stopped right in the middle of a muddy road. Oh no, Kael groaned. He tried to start it again. Chukka, chukka, chukka. Nothing. He stepped out of the car. He was stranded. He looked around. Just ahead under a large mango tree was a small mechanic's workshop. A man was bent over a generator fixing wires. Hello, Kael called out. My brother, can you help me? The mechanic stood up and turned around. It was Leo. Leo wiped his greasy hands on a rag and walked toward the road. What is the problem, friend? Did the radiator overheat? Kael looked at the mechanic. Then he blinked. He took off his baseball cap and rubbed his eyes. Leo stopped walking. He dropped his rag. His mouth fell open. They stood there on the red dirt road staring at each other. It was like looking into a mirror. They had the same high forehead. They had the same nose. They were the same height. The only difference was that Kael's skin was smooth and pampered while Leo's was rough from hard work. Who are you? Kael whispered, his heart was beating fast. I am Leo, the mechanic said, his voice shaking. I fix engines here. But why do you possess my face? Kael walked closer. He felt a strange vibration in his chest. I am Kael, Prince Kael of the Valerius family. Leo's eyes widened in fear. He started to bow. Your Highness, I did not know. Please forgive me for standing while you stand. Do not bow, Kael said, grabbing Leo's arm. Stand up. Look at me. Kael pulled the collar of his shirt down. Do you have this? He revealed the small star-shaped birthmark on his chest. Leo gasped. He slowly unbuttoned his greasy work shirt. There on his own chest was the exact same mark. The gods are wonderful, Leo breathed. Silas always told me I was found by the river. He said I was special, but he never told me I was a copy of the prince. You are not a copy, Kael said, his voice filled with emotion. We are twins, brothers. We must have been separated at birth. Kael looked around to make sure no one was watching. Listen, Leo, I cannot explain the past right now, but I need your help for the future. Tomorrow is the Royal Heritage Festival. Yes, Your Highness, the whole village is talking about it. I am tired of fake people, Kael said bitterly. The women only want my crown. They do not care about my heart. I have a plan, a crazy plan. What plan? Leo asked. We will switch, Kael said. You will go to the palace tonight. You will wear the royal robes. You will sit on the throne. Leo stepped back terrified. Me? A mechanic on the throne? Our prince? They will kill me. I don't know how to be a king. I only know how to fix carburetors. Kael smiled. It is easy. Just sit still. Look serious. Wave your hand slowly like this. Kael demonstrated a lazy royal wave. Do not speak much. Just nod. And what will you do? Leo asked. I will dress as a servant, Kael said. I will wear these rags. I will walk through the crowd as a water boy. I want to see how the people treat a poor man. If a maiden treats a servant with kindness, then I will know she is fit to be a queen. Leo looked at his brother. He scratched the birthmark on his chest. He remembered the old woman, old Martha, and the pouch she gave him. She had said he was a lion sleeping in a goat's pen. Okay, Leo said slowly. I will do it for you, my brother. They embraced. It was the first time they had ever hugged, but it felt like two pieces of a puzzle snapping together. The morning of the Royal Heritage Festival was bright and hot. The sky was a brilliant blue. Even the birds seemed to be singing louder than usual. In Lady Beatrice's house, there was no peace. There was only panic. Where is the shoe polish? Where is the wig? Cassia screamed, throwing pillows across her room. Elara was running up and down the stairs. She had dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep. She had finished sewing the gold dress at 5 a.m. Here, Elara said, handing over the polished shoes. Cassia snatched them. She put on the gold dress. It fit perfectly. It shimmered in the light. But Cassia did not say thank you. She spun around in front of the mirror. Mommy, look. Cassia cried. I look like a goddess. Lady Beatrice clapped her hands. Perfect. The prince will have no choice. He must pick you. Beatrice turned to Elara. Elara was standing by the door, holding her breath. She was wearing her best dress, a faded blue cotton gown that was too short for her. She had washed her face and combed her hair. And where do you think you are going? Beatrice asked, her voice low and dangerous. To the festival, Ma, Elara whispered, just to watch. I finished all my work. Beatrice laughed. It was a dry, harsh sound. To watch with those rags. You want to embarrass us? You want people to say Lady Beatrice keeps a scarecrow in her house. Please Ma, Elara begged. I will stand at the back. I won't talk to anyone. No, Cassia yelled. She will bring bad luck. Mommy, lock her up. Beatrice grabbed Elara's arm. Her grip was like iron. She dragged Elara down the hallway to the kitchen. You will stay here, Beatrice said. There are 3 bags of rice to sort. There are heavy pots to scrub. If I come back and find you idle, I will beat you until you cannot stand. Beatrice shoved Elara inside and slammed the heavy wooden door. Click. The key turned in the lock. Elara heard their footsteps fade away. She heard the car engine start and drive off towards the arena. She was alone. The kitchen was hot. The smell of stale palm oil hung in the air. Elara slid down to the floor and buried her face in her knees. Why, she sobbed. Why is the world so hard? Outside on the street, a man was walking by. He was dressed in a dirty mechanic's shirt and torn trousers. He carried a metal bucket. It was Prince Kael, disguised as a servant. He was walking toward the arena, taking a shortcut through the residential streets. As he passed the high wall of Lady Beatrice's compound, he heard a sound. It was a low, mournful crying coming from a small window near the ground. Kael stopped. He peeked through a crack in the gate. He saw the small kitchen window with iron bars. He couldn't see the girl inside, but he could hear her pain. Such sadness on a day of celebration, Kael thought. Whoever lives here is suffering. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of white chalk. He drew a small X on the gate post. I must remember this place, he promised himself. When I am king, I will find out who is crying. He adjusted his bucket and continued walking toward the sound of drums in the distance. The Valerius arena was transformed. It was a sea of color. Canopies of yellow, green, and red were set up in a circle. Thousands of people had gathered. The air was thick with excitement and the smell of spicy meat grilling on open fires. Drums beat loudly. On the high VIP platform sat the king. It was Leo. He was sweating under the heavy layers of handwoven cloth. A heavy crown of coral beads sat on his head. He gripped the horsetail switch in his hand tightly. He was terrified that someone would scream, "Fake. That is the mechanic." But no one did. The chiefs sat around him, nodding approvingly. The prince is very quiet today, Chief Thorn observed. He looks solemn. Good. A king should be serious. Leo just nodded slowly, exactly as Kael had taught him. Below the platform, the parade of maidens began. This was the main event. Young women from the wealthiest families in the region danced past the throne, hoping to catch the eye of the prince. Lady Beatrice and Cassia pushed their way to the front of the crowd. Move. Do you know who I am? Beatrice shouted at a woman selling water. She shoved the woman's tray, spilling water bags onto the sand. She didn't apologize. Cassia stepped onto the red carpet. The gold dress sparkled blindingly in the sun. She looked beautiful, but her expression was haughty. She chewed gum loudly. She danced towards the throne. Her movements were stiff and practiced. She didn't dance for the joy of the music. She danced to show off her body. In the crowd, standing near the front row of spectators was the real Prince Kael. He was dusty and unnoticed. He held his metal bucket. Water. Fresh water. Kael called out in a raspy voice. He pretended to stumble near the red carpet right in Cassia's path. Cassia stopped dancing. She looked down at the dusty man blocking her way. Get out of my way, you filthy rat, Cassia hissed. She kicked Kael's leg with her sharp heel. Can't you see royalty is walking here? Kael looked up at her from the ground. I am thirsty, fine sister. Please, do you have a coin for water? I am not your sister, Cassia yelled. Guards, remove this trash. On the throne, Leo saw everything. His knuckles turned white as he gripped the armrest. He wanted to jump down and defend his brother, but he caught Kael's eye. Kael shook his head slightly. Stay there, the look said. Let her show her true colors. Cassia reached the platform. She smiled a fake plastic smile at Leo. Your Highness, she curtsied. I am Cassia. I am the jewel of this town. Choose me and I will make you shine. Leo looked at her. He looked at her beautiful dress and then he looked at her ugly spirit. He slowly turned his head away and looked at a tree in the distance. The crowd gasped. The prince had ignored her. It was a massive insult. Cassia's face turned red. Lady Beatrice was furious. He is playing games, Beatrice muttered. Just go sit down. Back in the sweltering kitchen, Elara made a decision. No, she said, wiping her tears. My parents did not raise a coward. I will not stay in this box. She looked around the kitchen for a way out. The door was solid wood. The windows were barred, except for one. There was a small ventilation window high up near the ceiling. The rusty iron bars were loose. Elara dragged the heavy bag of rice over to the wall. She climbed on top of it. She grabbed the bars. Grown, she pulled with all her meager strength. Snap! The rusted screws gave way. The bars clattered to the floor. The hole was small, but Elara was thin. She wiggled her head through, then her shoulders. She pushed and kicked until she popped out onto the grass of the backyard. She landed in a puddle of mud, splashing dirt all over her faded blue dress. "Oh no," she cried, looking at the stains. "I look like a mad woman." But she didn't stop. She ran to the back wall of the compound. It was high, topped with jagged glass to stop thieves. "How will I climb this?" she wondered. Suddenly, she heard a scratching sound on the other side of the wall. "Child," it was a familiar crackly voice. Elara looked through a small drainage hole in the wall. She saw two old eyes peering back. "Old Martha," Elara whispered. "Yes, it is me," the old woman said. "Destiny does not wait for locks. There is an old oil drum here. Climb up and I will catch you." Elara found a crate in the yard and climbed up. She scrambled over the wall, carefully avoiding the glass. She jumped down into the waiting arms of old Martha. Old Martha looked at Elara. The girl was dirty, sweaty, and wearing a torn dress, but her eyes were bright. "You look like a warrior," old Martha said proudly. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small brown clay pot. It was chipped at the rim. "Take this," old Martha said. "It is full of fresh spring water from the village stream. Do not drink it yourself. You will know who needs it." "Thank you, mother," Elara said, hugging the pot to her chest. "Run now," old Martha urged. "The drums are calling." Elara ran. She ran past the market stalls. She ran past the taxi park. People stared at her. "Look at that dirty girl running." Someone laughed. "Is she mad?" asked another. Elara didn't care. She ran until she saw the stadium flags fluttering in the breeze. She was out of breath when she reached the gates. The guards tried to stop her. "Hey, beggars are not allowed," a guard shouted, but Elara ducked under his arm and vanished into the thick crowd. She pushed through the bodies, apologizing as she went. "Sorry, please. Excuse me. Sorry." She squeezed her way to the front, clutching the clay pot. She wanted to see the king. She wanted to see the man everyone was talking about. Just as she broke through to the front row, she bumped into a man. He was kneeling on the ground, looking exhausted. He was wearing dirty clothes and holding an empty metal bucket. It was Kael. "Oh, I am sorry," Elara gasped. She knelt down to help him. Kael looked up. He saw a girl with mud on her dress and kindness in her eyes. She wasn't looking at the throne. She was looking at him. "Are you okay?" Elara asked gently. "You look tired." Kael stared at her. This was the girl. The girl with the sad voice from behind the wall. "I am thirsty," Kael rasped, testing her. "I am just a servant and no one will give me water." Elara didn't hesitate. She unsealed her clay pot. "Here," she said, smiling. "I have water. It is not cold like the fridge water, but it is sweet." The noise in the stadium was deafening. The sun beat down on the tin roofs of the stands, making the air shimmer with heat. People fanned themselves with newspapers and handkerchiefs. Everyone was thirsty, but they were all watching the drama unfolding near the royal platform. Elara knelt in the red dust. She held the chipped clay pot up to the man she thought was a servant. "Drink," she said gently. "It is cool." Kael looked at her. He saw the sweat on her brow and the mud stains on her dress. He saw that her hands were rough and calloused from years of scrubbing floors, but mostly he saw her eyes. They were not looking at his clothes. They were looking at his humanity. He took the pot. He lifted it to his lips and drank. The water was sweet and cold, tasting of the earth and the stream. It was the best water he had ever tasted. "Thank you," Kael whispered. "You have saved me." "It is nothing," Elara replied. "My grandmother says that water has no enemy." Everyone deserves to drink. Suddenly, a drum roll thundered from the speakers. Boom! Leo, sitting on the high throne in his heavy robes, stood up. He raised his hand. The arena went silent. Even the birds seemed to stop singing to listen. People of Valerius, Leo's voice boomed. It was deep and commanded respect. The sun is hot. My throat is dry. I am thirsty. It was the signal. Immediately, a dozen beautifully dressed maidens rushed toward the platform. They held golden goblets, silver cups, and bottles of imported water. Cassia pushed her way to the front, elbowing another girl out of the way. My prince, Cassia screamed. Drink from my cup. It is pure gold. The water costs 5,000 a bottle. No, drink mine, shouted the daughter of the high minister. Mine is flavored with strawberries. They crowded around the stairs of the platform, waving their expensive gifts. They looked like peacocks fighting for a seed. Leo looked down at them. He looked at Cassia, who was still sneering at the servant behind her. Stop, Leo commanded. The maidens froze. I do not want water from a bottle that money bought, Leo said. I want water given with a pure heart. Who has water for the king? The stadium was confused. The maidens looked at each other. They didn't understand. Then Kael stood up from the dust. He was still holding Elara's clay pot. He walked past Cassia. Hey, where are you going, rubbish man? Cassia hissed, trying to trip him. Kael stepped over her foot. He walked up the red carpet stairs. The guards lowered their spears to let him pass. The crowd gasped. Why were the guards letting a dirty servant approach the king? Kael reached the top of the platform. He bowed to Leo and then he handed him the clay pot. The beggar has drunk, Kael said clearly, his voice carrying over the microphone. Now the king may drink. Leo took the old chipped pot. He lifted it high. This, he declared, is the water of life. He drank deeply. Cassia's mouth fell open. Lady Beatrice dropped her expensive handbag. The whole crowd murmured in shock. The king was drinking from a servant's pot. Leo handed the pot back to Kael. It is sweet, Leo said, smiling at his brother. Kael walked back down the stairs. He went straight to Elara. Thank you, Kael said, handing her the empty pot. You fed the king. Elara was trembling. She barely understood what had happened. I just wanted to help, she stammered. Cassia looked at Elara with eyes full of fire. You, she whispered viciously. You stole my moment. Wait until we get home. The festival continued with dancing and masquerades, but Elara was terrified. She had seen the look in Cassia's eyes. She knew she had to get home before Lady Beatrice returned. I must go, she told the kind servant, Kael, if my madam catches me, I am finished. Wait, Kael said. What is your name? Elara, she said. She turned to run, clutching the clay pot to her chest. But the crowd was thick. A man selling snacks bumped into her. Elara stumbled. The clay pot slipped from her sweaty hands. Crash! The pot hit a stone and shattered into 3 large pieces. Elara froze. Her heart stopped. That pot belonged to old Martha. It was the only thing she had brought. It was her protection. Oh no! Oh no, she cried, dropping to her knees. She tried to pick up the sharp pieces. Old Martha will be so sad, and if Lady Beatrice sees I broke a pot, she will say I stole it. Kael knelt beside her. He didn't care about the mud on his knees. Do not cry, Elara, he said soothingly. Look, the pieces are big. We can fix it. He scooped up some wet red clay from a puddle near the drain. My father taught me that broken things can be stronger when they are mended. Elara looked at him. You are a mechanic, she asked, seeing his dirty shirt. Something like that, Kael smiled. I fix things together. Right there in the middle of the busy festival grounds, the prince and the maid fixed the pot. Kael used the wet clay to glue the pieces together. His hands were gentle. Elara held the pieces while he worked. You have a good heart, Elara, Kael said softly. Why does your madam treat you so badly? I am an orphan, Elara said, wiping a tear. I have no one to speak for me. She hesitated, then reached into her pocket. I only have secrets like this one. She showed him the old photograph of the twin babies. Kael stopped working. He took the photo. His hands shook. He recognized the velvet rug. He recognized the babies. It was the lost picture from the royal archives, the one taken just days before his brother was stolen. Where did you find this? Kael asked intensely. Under Lady Beatrice's fruit basket, Elara whispered. She hid it. Kael looked at Elara. He realized that this girl held the key to everything. Not only did she have a golden heart, but she also held the proof of the crime that had separated him from his brother. Elara, Kael said, looking deep into her eyes. Listen to me. Go home. Hide this photo in a safe place. Do not let them know you have it. Tomorrow the sun will rise differently for you. Why? Elara asked. You are just a driver. Sometimes, Kael said. A driver knows the way better than the passenger. Go now. Elara took the mended pot. It looked ugly with the red clay seams, but it held together. She ran through the crowd, slipped out the back gate, and ran all the way back to Marigold Avenue. She climbed over the wall just as the headlights of Lady Beatrice's car swept across the gate. She scrambled through the broken window and replaced the iron bars just seconds before the kitchen door opened. Elara, Lady Beatrice, shouted, come and carry my bags. Elara stood up, dusting off her dress in the dark. She was safe for now. The next morning, the atmosphere in Valerius was tense. The birds were quiet. The wind was still. At 8 a.m., a convoy of black SUVs rolled down the dusty road of Marigold Avenue. There were police sirens and motorcycles. The neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains. Who is in trouble? The woman selling goods asked her customer. Is it police? The convoy stopped in front of Lady Beatrice's black gate. Bang, bang, bang. A soldier hit the gate with the butt of his gun. Open the gate by order of the palace. Inside, Lady Beatrice was having tea. She spilled it all over her wrapper. The palace. They are here. She ran to the mirror. Cassia, Cassia, wake up. The prince has come for you. I told you playing hard to get would work. Cassia ran down the stairs, putting on her wig sideways. He came to the house. Oh my God, I am going to be queen. They opened the gate. Standing there was Prince Kael, but he was not wearing rags today. He was dressed in magnificent purple robes embroidered with real gold thread. He wore a tall crown. He held a staff of authority. Behind him stood 6 large guards and the board of chiefs. Beatrice threw herself on the ground. Your Highness, we are honored. Please come in. My daughter is ready. Kael walked into the compound. He did not smile. He looked around the clean pavement. He looked at the flowers. I am looking for a wife, Kael announced. His voice was cold. Yes. Yes. Beatrice pushed Cassia forward. Cassia curtsied, batting her eyelashes. I am here, my prince. Kael looked at Cassia. You, the maiden who kicks thirsty men in the dust. Cassia's face went pale. I did not know it was you, my prince. I thought it was a beggar. If I knew. Character is how you treat those who can do nothing for you, Kael said sharply. Step aside. He looked at Beatrice. I am looking for the owner of a certain clay pot, a chipped pot, mended with red mud. Beatrice froze. She knew that pot. It was the one Elara used to fetch water for her herbs. She looked towards the kitchen. Bring out your household, Kael commanded. Beatrice signaled, and the cook and the driver came out. But Elara did not come. Is there no one else? Kael asked. No one, your highness, Beatrice lied. Just animals. Search the house, Kael ordered the guards. 2 soldiers kicked open the kitchen door. They found Elara huddled in the corner holding her book. They dragged her out into the sunlight. Elara blinked. She saw the man in the purple robes. He looked exactly like the servant Kael but grander. She gasped. The driver was the prince. Ah! Beatrice shouted, thinking fast. That one? She is a thief. She stole that pot. I locked her up because she is a criminal. Cassia joined in. Yes, she is a witch. She steals our jewelry. Take her away, prince. Do not look at her ugly face. The neighbors were watching over the fence now. They whispered, hey, poor Elara. They will take her to the dungeon. Elara stood trembling. She looked at Kael. She didn't defend herself. She just held her head down. Is this true? Kael asked Elara. Are you a thief? Elara looked up. I stole nothing, sir. I only borrowed fresh air. Liar. Beatrice raised her hand to slap Elara. Stop. Kael caught Beatrice's hand in midair. Do not touch her. He turned to his guards. Bring him in. The gate opened again. A collective gasp went through the crowd of neighbors. Lady Beatrice's eyes bulged out of her head. Cassia screamed and covered her mouth. Walking into the compound was Leo. He was dressed in the simple clothes of a hunter, a leather vest, and khaki trousers, but he walked with the same stride as the prince. He walked right up to Kael and stood next to him, shoulder to shoulder, face to face, identical, one in purple robes, one in hunter's leather, but they were the same man in 2 bodies. Wah! Old Martha shouted from the gate where she had followed the crowd. The moon has united. Lady Beatrice began to shake. Her legs gave way and she sat heavily on the ground. She looked like she had seen a ghost. You, she wheezed. You are dead. I buried you. Leo looked at her with sad eyes. You buried an empty box, Lady Beatrice. You could not kill a child with the royal mark. He pulled down his vest to show the star on his chest. Kael pulled down his robe to show the matching star. The board of chiefs were stunned. Chief Thorn stepped forward. Lady Beatrice, you were the royal nurse 28 years ago. You told the king that the second twin died at birth. We mourned for a month. She lied, Leo said, his voice steady. She saw a chance to make money. In those days, some people feared twins. She told the king the baby died, but she took me and sold me to a hunter in the next village. She promised to keep the secret if he paid her monthly. But the hunter was a good man. He raised me well. Lies, Cassia screamed. My mother is a businesswoman. This mechanic is lying. Mechanic? Kael asked. So, you know him? Cassia stuttered. I fixed my car with him once. And you treated him like a dog? Leo said calmly. Just as you treated your sister, Elara. Elara is not my sister, Cassia spat. No, Leo said, Elara is better than a sister. She is the witness. Kael turned to Elara. Elara, the photo. Give it to the chiefs. Elara reached into her pocket. Her hand shook as she pulled out the crinkled black and white photo. She handed it to Chief Thorn. The old chief put on his glasses. He looked at the photo. He looked at the date on the back. "This is the royal rug," Chief Thorn said, his voice trembling with rage. "And these are the twins. This photo went missing from the palace archives the same week the baby died. Lady Beatrice, you stole this to protect yourself in case anyone ever doubted you." Beatrice was sobbing now, clutching the hem of Kael's robe. "Mercy, I wanted to be rich. I wanted Cassia to have a good life. Please, Prince, mercy." Kael pulled his robe away from her grip. "You stole my brother," Kael said, his voice like thunder. "You stole his childhood. You stole my father's joy, and you stole Elara's freedom." He looked at the crowd of neighbors, soldiers, and chiefs. "The secret is out," Kael declared. "The Valerius family is whole again. But this house is built on lies." The compound was silent, except for the sound of Lady Beatrice weeping on the stone pavement. The truth was as bright as the noonday sun. The neighbors, who had often heard screams coming from the house, but did nothing, now shook their heads in shame and anger. Chief Thorn raised his wooden staff. "This crime is heavy. Stealing a royal heir, enslaving an orphan. In the old days, the earth would swallow you." Cassia was on her knees, too. Her gold dress now dusty. "Prince, please, I didn't know. I was just a child. Don't punish me." Kael looked at the two women. He felt anger, yes, but he also felt exhaustion. He looked at Leo, his brother. "What say you, brother?" Kael asked. "They stole your life. The judgment is yours." Leo looked at the woman who had sold him like a goat. He looked at the girl who had called him a filthy mechanic. He took a deep breath. He remembered the lessons of Silas in the forest. To kill a snake is easy, but to heal the bite takes time. "I do not want their blood," Leo said slowly. "Blood stains the ground and calls for more blood. I want justice." He pointed at the luxurious house. "This house was built with money that Lady Beatrice extorted from my foster father and stole from Elara's inheritance." "Yes, Elara. I know your father left you money that she hid." Elara gasped. "My father?" "Yes." Leo continued, "Silas told me everything before he died. Beatrice managed your father's estate. She stole it all." Leo turned to the chiefs. "Seize the house. Seize the bank accounts. Give Elara what is hers." "And the women?" Chief Thorn asked. "Banishment," Leo said firmly. "Not to the shadows, but to the village farm. Let them work. Let them plant crops. Let them weed the cocoa farms. Let them know what it feels like to have blistered hands and an aching back. If they learn humility, perhaps they can return in 10 years. "No, I cannot dig," Cassia wailed. "My nails." "You will learn," Kael said coldly. "Guards, take them away. Give them one set of simple clothes each. Nothing else." As the soldiers dragged the screaming women away, a strange peace settled over the compound. The noise of Aethelgard seemed to pause. Kael turned to Elara. She was still standing there looking lost in her dirty dress. "Elara," Kael said. He walked over to her. He took her rough, scarred hands in his soft ones. "You are free," he said. "This house is yours. The money is yours. You never have to serve anyone again." Elara looked at the big white house. It looked different now. It didn't look scary. It just looked like a building. "I don't want to live here alone," she whispered. "It has too many ghosts." "Then come with me," Kael said. The crowd gasped. "Come with you?" Elara asked, confused. "To fix another pot." Kael laughed. It was a sound of pure joy. "No, to fix a kingdom." The board of chiefs sat in the palace conference room again. The mood was serious. "Prince Kael," Chief Thorn said, adjusting his glasses. We are happy you found your brother. It is a miracle, but we still have a problem. The law says you must marry to be king, and you rejected all the maidens at the festival. I did not reject all of them, Kael said, smiling. You mean? The chief looked horrified. The maid, the orphan girl, Prince, be reasonable. She cannot speak foreign languages. She does not know how to hold a wine glass. She has no university degree. She has a degree in life, Leo interjected. He was sitting at the table now, cleaned up and wearing a simple but elegant tunic. He looked every bit the prince he was born to be. She has a PhD in patience and a master's in kindness. But the people, another chief argued, they want a queen they can look up to, someone glamorous. Kael stood up, the people are tired of glamour that hides rot. They want someone who understands them. Someone who knows the price of rice in the market. Someone who knows what it means to be thirsty. He walked to the door and opened it. Come in. Elara walked in. She was not wearing the faded blue dress. She was not wearing rags, but she was not wearing imported lace either. She was wearing a simple elegant dress made of local fabric. A dress she had sewn herself in the last 2 days. The pattern was blue and gold, swirling like water. Her hair was braided neatly. She wore no makeup, but her skin glowed with health and peace. She didn't bow to the chiefs. She stood tall. Greetings, my fathers, she said. Her voice was clear and steady. Chief Thorn looked at her. He tried to find a fault. He looked at her hands. The scars were still there, but they looked like badges of honor. Now can you read? Chief Thorn asked gruffly. Yes, Elara said. I read every book in Lady Beatrice's library while she slept. I know the history of Valerius. I know the laws of this city. And if a child comes to you hungry, the chief asked. What will you do? Call for a meeting? No, Elara said. I will give him a pot of water and a plate of food because hunger cannot wait for paperwork. The room went silent. Leo clapped slowly. Then Kael clapped. Then one by one, the old chiefs began to nod. She has the wisdom of the earth, Chief Thorn admitted. He stood up and bowed to Elara. Welcome our daughter. The wedding of King Kael and Queen Elara was not held in a private hall on Sapphire Coast. It was held in the open arena of Valerius. Everyone was invited, the mechanics, the market women, the teachers, the bus drivers. It was a day Aethelgard would never forget. The sun shone, but a gentle breeze blew from the ocean, cooling the heat. Elara walked down the aisle. She held a bouquet of local flowers picked from the garden of the house she used to clean. Beside her walked Leo, who gave her away as a brother would. When the priest asked, "Do you take this woman?" Kael didn't just say, "I do." He took the microphone. "I take this woman," Kael announced to the thousands watching. "Because when I was nothing but a beggar in the dust, she saw a man. She gave me water when others gave me insults. She is not just my wife. She is my compass." The crowd roared. Women wept. Men threw their caps in the air. "Odogu," they shouted. "The king has arrived." After the ceremony, Leo stood on the podium. He announced that he would not take the throne, but he would lead the new Valerius Foundation, a project to train young mechanics and hunters, giving orphans a skill and a future. "Every child has a star on their chest," Leo said, touching his own heart. "We just need to help them shine." In the distance, far away in a village farm, 2 women were hoeing a dirt ridge. "My back," Cassia complained, wiping dirt from her face. "Mommy, I broke a nail." Lady Beatrice wiped sweat from her brow. She looked tired and old. She looked at the radio hanging on a tree branch broadcasting the wedding. "Shut up and dig, Cassia," Beatrice said softly. "We are planting what we sowed. Maybe next season the harvest will be better if we learn to be kind." Back at the palace, the sun set over the horizon. The water turned purple and gold. King Kael and Queen Elara stood on the balcony. Elara held a small mended clay pot in her hands. It was filled with fresh water. "Are you happy?" Kael asked. Elara looked at the city lights flickering on one by one. She thought of the cold kitchen floor. She thought of the fear. And then she looked at the man beside her, her soulmate. "I am not just happy, Kael." She smiled. "I am home." She poured a little water on the ground, a libation to the ancestors and to the spirit of old Martha, who was undoubtedly dancing somewhere in the markets beyond. "To the broken things," Elara whispered. "To the mended things," Kael answered, and together they turned to face their kingdom, ready to serve, ready to love, and ready to rule with hearts of purest gold.